Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac. Today we're going to talk a little bit about scheme and execution. First of all, I'd just like to say to all of you that today, right now, currently, as I speak, the selection show is going on in the state of Florida with the new playoff system. Congratulations to all of you that are in the playoffs. Good luck to you on the next couple weeks making your playoff run. Well deserved to all the teams that make it. I think the new playoff system, although there's some people that are upset that you don't get to find out who you're going to play until Sunday, is less preparation time, and I certainly get all that. But I think the new playoff system is something in my eyes, even though we were remotely not even involved in it this year, I think it's something that's real good because I think it made a lot of games more relevant than they've been in the past, and it certainly made Week 11 games more relevant than it's been in the past. And whether or not it's made more work for people or more work for people trying to prepare for teams because you didn't know your playoff opponent and you couldn't backdoor 15 films the way you would in the past. You know, normally in the past what would happen is you would know your playoff opponent and you would call every friend you have in the business and you would have all 15 films on a team, you know, before that team, ever set up a huddle exchange with you. And I know guys don't like not being able to prepare without getting film, but I think this has made Week 11 games more relevant. I think it's made a lot of games during the season more relevant, and I think it's a good thing. And hopefully in the future I can be part of it because it seems like it's a lot of fun. So good luck to all those teams involved. All you guys that are not involved in the playoffs across the country, now's the time where you start to look and analyze what you did, how you did it, what you're going to do next year, how you're going to get better. I mean, that's the great thing about the game of football. If you're fortunate enough to have a job, keep a job, be at a place, you're fortunate enough to be around something where you have a chance to build. And what you got to look at is what you did previous season, what do you got coming back, what are you going to do next season. You got to go to clinics, you got to go to other high schools and talk to people. You know, this game goes year-round. It doesn't just stop when the season ends. And, you know, for some people, for me, a lot of the times this part of the season is as much fun as everything else because I love the schematics. I love talking to people. I love wrinkling things. I love figuring out, you know, it helps me get through every day, waking up knowing that I'm trying to do something to get better for next year. So today we're going to talk about scheme and execution. And we're going to talk about is your job as a coach and what you're trying to do as a coach to get your players in a position to be successful. And what's the difference between putting your kids in a position to be successful or just having a bunch of kids that no matter where you put them are going to be successful. And what I mean by that is as an offensive or defensive coordinator, you're always trying to get the marker last, and you're always trying to get in a situation where, you know, in a run game, for example, you're always trying to get +1 on defense in a run game. And you're always trying to find guys that they can't block and get yourselves in a situation where you send the ball to unblocked players. And, you know, you try and set your coverages and your fronts up that way. You try to stunt yourself into things. You're always looking to get that +1 scenario. Well, in an offensive setting, you're always trying to get a hat on a hat. If you feel like you can get a hat on a hat in certain situations, then you feel like that, you know, you've done a pretty good job putting your kids in position to be successful. So what I'm going to talk about today is scheme and execution, and how, as a coach, your job is to scheme up ways to get your kids in a position to execute. After that, the execution of what goes on comes down to how they were prepared. Are they physically ready? Are they mentally ready? And are they physically good enough to handle the situation? Because there are several scenarios where you just physically aren't going to be ready to handle the situation that you're given. But as a coach, if you put your kids in a situation to be successful schematically, until you can physically get better, get older, get stronger, get bigger, get faster, get more agile, it doesn't matter schematically what you've done. You're not going to win that battle anyways. Okay, so this past Friday night, we played a 7A school, which is 2 classifications higher than us. They are 8-2. They're going to the playoffs. Very good football team. Been a good football team for the past 8 or 10, 12 years. And they do a great job on defense. They had a phenomenal front 7. So our game plan going in was, how can we keep 6 and 7 or 7 and 8 and 2 back? How can we keep them out of the box? I want to know how I can keep those guys from making plays. And when I go back and chart the game afterwards, regardless of the score, which we lost the game, all right, and we lost the game fairly one-sided. But when I went back and looked at the game and I charted it and I watched, the 6th and 7th guys in the box when we were in 2x2 didn't make a heck of a lot of plays. So what we did and what we tried to do was successful from the standpoint that the extra fitters in that box, and when you're arguing with people, and I know for me sometimes I argue with people when they say, when a team plays 2 read palms, that's a 7-man box. And I say, okay, yeah, if 6 and 7 are folding into the run game, then it's a 7-man box. If 6 and 7 can't get involved in the run game, then it's not a 7-man box. Now, I know as a defensive guy, that's why I play it, because I want 6 and 7 to be involved in a run game. All right, so I'm not going to lie and try and be counterintuitive to what I'm saying. Yes, I believe it can be a 7-man box, but I believe as an offense, you can make it a 5-man box. Okay, so what we tried to do the other night was we tried to get into 2x2, and one of the reasons I like 2x2 is you get a lot of simple pictures for your quarterback to look at. I am not a huge formational guy. I am not a trade shift motion guy. I am not big into heavy formations, because when you're asking your quarterback to process information, the more you change formations, the more you change the looks the other team gives you. Now your quarterback's got to be able to process all those different looks. I like to keep it static for my kid, and I like to keep it static for myself and understand, look, these are the 2 or 3 looks we get in 2x2. These are the plays we like. Let's work on it all week to execute. All right, so we went at it with our inside zone game because, you know, that's what we do. That's part of our run game. We're going to look into wrinkling our one-back runs a little bit in the offseason, but for us this year, inside zone was one of the things that we did. When we did it right and when we matched up well, we had good success. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to go in and say, hey, look, we want to run inside zone at the 5 in the box. Okay, so we're going to lock the backside of the inside zone. We want to run inside zone at the 5 in the box. All right, and we want to take advantage of 6 and 7. Okay, so what you're going to get here is you're going to get a lot of philosophies that I've already talked about, but what I want to do today is I want to talk about them more along the lines of the difference between the scheme and the execution of it. So what you're going to get here is you're going to get an inside zone theory where we wanted to lock the 5 in the box. We wanted to block the 4 down in the mic, and we wanted to make sure that we controlled 6 and 7. Now I can tell you after watching film, we controlled 6 and 7. 6 and 7 didn't make very many plays in the run game for them. But you know the great thing for them? They never had to. So what I'm saying here is schematically we did a great job controlling 6 and 7 in our 2x2 set. All right, and that's the first thing I went back and analyzed when I went back and looked at the film. Did I accomplish what I was trying to accomplish? Did I keep 6 and 7 out of the box? And yes, I most certainly did. All right, the great thing for them is their 5 executed and out-executed our 5. Our 5 could not block their 5 on a consistent basis on the inside zone. So you know what? They win because their 6 and 7 never had to make a play. All right, so they win the ball game because their 5 out-executed our 5 and their 6 and 7 never had to make a play. Now, our 5 or 4 of our 5 or 5 of the 6 that we played are all going to come back next year. All right, I think 6 of the 7 that they played are going to graduate and be gone next year. That has a lot to do with what's going on. Their front guys, our guys they understood what we wanted to do. They understood where we were trying to go. We just got a little bit physically outmatched, and sometimes in high school football that's going to matter, or it's going to happen. But at the end of the day, schematically, our game plan going in was effective for what we were trying to do because 6 and 7 didn't make a lot of plays. All right, so we had RPOs to where we said, okay, all right, we're going to pre-snap read number 6. All right, if he's in the box or in a position, sometimes they would show a 6-man box, especially into the boundary. If he's in a position where he's in the box or he's walked tight or he's trying to come down and blitz, we got to take our access throws out here, make him respect that, so he's got to get width. All right, we're going to post-snap 7 and make sure we understand that 7 can't fold back here in the box, and if he does, we're going to throw simple RPOs. So we had like a box theory or a fin theory out here. We had bubble, try and get the corner. If it was 2 read, we were trying to get the corner to trigger 2. Safety get his eyes over 1, and then we were coming back with a 5-yard fin, which we were able to hit the other night for about a 7-8 yard gain. All right, and that was one of the concepts that we were trying to do. Now, you got to understand, in the box, there's several different ways to skin a cat based on who you are as an offense, based on what you want to do as an offense. But the bottom line is, as a coach and a coordinator, how do I get 5-on-5? How do I handle 6 and 7? You could trap this front if you wanted to. So you could base block that, okay? You could back block this, climb that, base block that, trap the 3, and run inside trap if you're an old school trap guy. It's 5 on 5 in the box, doesn't matter, okay? You could G-pull and fold it if you wanted to. If you're a power guy, you could block back with this, base these two, turn that, fold that up on the mic and run inside run, okay? You could G-pull it if you wanted to. You could run tackle wrap if you wanted to and run dart, all right, and run a dart scheme. So what I would do, I'll draw it up the best way for you. All right, you'd like to run a dart at the 1 technique and get a double team. So for instance, you could put the back over here. You could run a dart play, all right, to where I'll keep it, for the RPO world, I'll keep it back here for now. Tackle wrap is better to the 1 technique. If you're going to read the 5 technique in an RPO world, it's better away from the 1 technique because you're going to block out on the 5. So we'd end up with base blocks on the 3 and the 5, okay? We're going to block out on the 5 because we're RPO, and we're going to block back on the nose, and we're going to take the tackle, and run him up on the mic. So either way, you're getting some type of isolation play, whether it's a G-pull, tackle pull, all right? You've got trap schemes, you've got fold schemes, you've got G-pulls, tackle pulls, several ways to block 5 on 5. And that's the goal. Now, if you had multiple ways to block it, all right, unfortunately for us, we were stuck in a system where inside zone was what we did, all right? And I don't know how many of these other runs I would carry anyways, because I don't think you can get good at all of them. But if you had 1 or 2 other options, whether it be a trap scheme or some type of G or tackle fold scheme, isolation on the Mike linebacker, that would give you a little bit more variance, all right, in the inside zone system, all right, or then the inside zone system. It would give you a little more variance on how you're blocking the 5 and 5, and I think you might have success with how you're blocking the 5 on 5. But you're still, all right, one of the other ones we ran the other night was we took him off vert, ran him on open, pivot, whatever you want to call that route, and again, trying to take advantage of that will linebacker, all right? So bottom line is, as a coordinator, the scheme of what I'm trying to do is get my 5 on their 5, and I'm trying to eliminate their 6 and 7. Now, the execution part is, if I get 5 on 5, and I successfully eliminate 6 and 7, all right, with access throws and RPOs, can I win that battle? Well, Friday night we didn't win that battle, but as a coach, I feel good about the fact that I tried to get our guys in, all right, something that is conducive schematically. I can live with myself schematically knowing, all right, that the guys that I didn't want to make plays, they didn't get a ton of extra guys that I couldn't block, all right, other than a couple odd looks and a couple pressures where they did a good job because they're very good on the defensive side of the ball. They do a good job scheming some things. In base downs, 85% of the night, they didn't get extra players into the box to make plays. We just didn't execute what we needed to do. All right, so we got into 2-back and a couple different variances of 2-back. All right, and they were basically a split field coverage team where they were an 8-man front, weak safety comes down hard. All right, and it was the same thing. I got to make this 6 on 6. Okay, I got to make this 6 on 6 and see if we can win. So what we did is we ran a 5-step skinny. All right, it was more of a hard post, not a skinny post, excuse me. It's more of a hard, not vertical skinny. All right, we locked the backside. We tried inside zone insert. All right, we read that weak safety. We read that Sam. If he sticks his nose in the box or if this free safety's creeping down with him rolling down the blitz, we got to take access throws. If they give us the traditional look that they gave on film that we think we're going to see, and it's a defense that we play, so we're comfortable seeing it, then post-snap, we got to read this weak safety. All right, we had the 5-step hard post behind him. We also had 5-step hitch behind him on some of these different runs. So the bottom line was we wanted to get our 6 on their 6, okay, and make that weak safety in a position where he couldn't be right if he was the extra guy. My goal was I wanted to make sure that that player and that player didn't make a bunch of extra tackles because they are very, very good players. They're college football players. They're smart kids. They're physical kids. And they're fun to watch on film. So my goal was I don't want him to have a night and I don't want him to have a night. Okay, that's my goal. I can keep them as an offensive coordinator. I think I can scheme them out of having a great night. Okay, they're great players. I love watching them on film. I love how they play. I love what they do. I want to keep them out. Well, you know, most of the night when I go back on film and we were in two-back, I kept them out. They didn't make a lot of plays for us. We hit the hard post for a 30-yard gain early in the game. Okay, we hit the hitch a few times. All right, we also, all right, out of the same look now, we also stacked our backs and had a couple deals going on here, all right, where we stacked our backs and then we just kind of flipped it and we went zone the other way. And we went zone ISO. And then we ran like some smoke screen stuff. So we went vert and out to the corner, fast hands and feet, all right. And then we went zone lock, ISO, with the smoke screen. So now what you're doing is you're saying, okay, where is 7 pre-snap? If he's in a position that I don't like, I got to take an access throw. Where is 8 post-snap? If he folds in the box or gets anywhere near involved on this run here, I've got to throw the smoke screen or the RPO. We had the smoke screen, all right, and then we also had 1 vert, 2 pivot or open. We had several ways to kind of take a look at that extra guy in the box to see if we can keep him out of there. The majority of the night, we got the 6-on-6 we wanted. The problem was they out-executed us. Their 6 beat our 6. All right? At the end of the day, as a coach, all you can do is go back and say, hey, look, we got the looks we wanted. We called the plays we wanted. Our kids knew what we were supposed to do. We just got to out-execute. So you go back to the drawing board and say, hey, we got to get in the weight room. We got to get stronger. Our feet got to get better. We got to get more agile. We got to work on hand placement. We got to work on hat placement. We got to work on leverage. We got to work on first and second steps. Got to get our second step in the ground. You know, all the things that you got to do with your O-lineman to get better, knowing that you had a system to give you 6-on-6, all right? Take advantage of 7 and 8, okay? Take advantage of 7 and 8 and put your team in a situation where you can control those extra players, all right? We've talked about it in several different videos before, controlling fast fitters, extra fitters. As a coach, that's all you can do. If you can control those extra fitters and their 6 beat your 6, there's not a lot else you can do. You can try and change up how you're blocking them. Like I said, you can go with power, you can go with trap, you can go with counter. A lot of different things you can do, but it's much like when you watch college football, and I happen to be an Alabama fan, but when Alabama lines up and in the box you can't run the football on them, there's times where you have numbers, there's times where you have angles, there's times where their guys just beat the hell out of the guy in front of them, and the other team doesn't have a chance. If you put yourself in a situation as a coach where you have schemed up ways to get hats on hats and even numbers, and you're not able to move the ball, there ain't a hell of a lot more you can do. All right, now, the opposite of that scenario that becomes frustrating is like defensively. Okay, so, you know, defensively, we struggled a bunch this year, played a lot of young players, a lot of reasons why, but when you get into a situation defensively, and you're facing 2-back spread, okay, and you take, you're down 4 and put them under, with 2 guys coming off the edge and 2 players bracketing man, you have 8-on-6 in the box, okay? You have 8 players versus their 6 players in the box, all right? Schematically, the ball should have to go somewhere else or do something different than be run at these 8 players on the box. Okay, because if they're running power, and let's say they have to block that down, block back, hinge the B gap there, kick the blitzer, pull, and get on the man player, there's no way in hell they can get that guy blocked. So if your guy playing man takes on the puller, okay, even if none of these guys up front can make a play, if this guy takes on the puller with his outside arm and leg free, and he turns the ball back to this guy, you will have a free hitter on that tailback every day of the week on a power play. There's no way that their 6 should be able to block your 8. Well, shit, it happens every week in high school football. Every week it happens in high school football and sometimes in college. All right? So schematically and execution, if your 8 can't out-execute their 6, then schematically it really doesn't matter. All right, because as far as a scheme is concerned, when you get 8 on 6, you should win. Well, doesn't happen all the time. Okay? Doesn't necessarily happen all the time. All right, so defensively, it becomes the same thing. When you scheme something up that you feel is really good, all right, I'll give you another scenario. If you are playing a team that is 21 personnel, for argument's sake, and guys, you see this in high school, college, you see it everywhere. If you play some type of under G front, all right, with the quarters concept. If you play some type of under G front with a quarters concept, and you get, let's say, some version of the power play, and let's say you get an out block here, okay, and you get a down double here, back to the will, back block, hinge, all right, fullback, kick your 5 technique, guard wrap on your mic, tailback coming up inside. Okay? If you are playing some type of G front, all right, and you got the free safety, you got his extra coming down, okay, and then you've got the weak safety backside down wherever he may be, okay, there's not much more you can do, all right, to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blockers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's not much more you can do than get 9 on 7 in a box. Okay? There aren't any other ways schematically you can draw up to get 9 on 7 in a box. If you still can't win your 9 versus their 7, if their 7 can out-execute you to where if they can put this 3 technique in the lap of the will, or if your will shoots and triggers under, and he gets blocked by the guard, and your tackle doesn't do anything on the back block of the center and just gets washed back here, all right, and your Mike linebacker doesn't scrape paint and make this ball bounce to the free safety, or if your Mike linebacker goes over the top of the pull and your free safety fits it outside, you're getting out-executed, all right? There's nothing more you can do in the scheme than that. You're getting out-executed, all right? So the scheme and the execution part go hand in hand. Can you scheme something that is solid? All right? Can you scheme something that is solid, and can you execute it versus what you need to see? Can you execute it so now that when you get that play, all right, on the backside, if your 1 technique holds the point, your will overlaps and doesn't plug the backside, he overlaps the mic, and then your free safety fits off the mic. So if the mic scrapes paint hard on the wrong arm of the 5, the mic scrapes paint and he blows up and wrong arms the puller, the ball goes out to the free safety with the will getting ready to overlap. That's the execution part. And that's where we, all right, myself included, because I coached the defense this year, that's where we failed. All right? We didn't fail schematically. So a lot of times you'll go back in the offseason and you'll look at all these magic bullets in the scheme and you'll look and go, we need to be, I got to go to clinics and I got to look at playing this front or this coverage or this. No, what you really need to do is go back and analyze what you did and do it better. All right? Schematically, we were in a good position all year long against a lot of teams we played. There was on one game I felt like we weren't in a good position. Every other game I felt like schematically we were in a good position. You go back and watch the games, as painful as it may be, and what you find out is you're not getting out-schemed. You're getting out-executed. You're getting out-worked during the week. You're getting out-coached in fundamentals. All right, and that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, but hell, when you lose, what else are you going to do? Blame everybody else? You can't sit there and blame everybody else. All right, so when you go back and look, we didn't get out-schemed. We don't really need to change the scheme. It's not that the scheme doesn't work. What we need to do is get better inside that scheme. All right, we had several scenarios where we had our kids in position to make plays. We just either took blocks on wrong, didn't defeat blocks correctly, didn't tackle the football, didn't send the ball to the free hitter. The free hitter didn't fit where he needs to fit. So those things are all execution. All right, so that's why you've got to be able to look at scheme and execution. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you fundamentals, 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 and I get that 100%. But once you have a kid taught in fundamentals, you've got to put them in a scheme, so you can't separate one from the other. The fundamentals of football, it'll always come down to blocking and tackling. Bo Schembechler said it, Woody Hayes, Earl Bruce, Bear Bryant, all those. At the end of the day, it's blocking and tackling. And nowadays, with all the schemes, old school analysts, they always want to go back and say, the RPOs are ridiculous protection offense, all this other bullshit. All right? That ain't got nothing to do with it. What it's got to do with is the fundamentals have to go together with the scheme. So kids have to be able to block, they have to be able to tackle, they got to be able to take on blocks. They got to know where they fit on defense. They got to know who to read on offense. Okay? You have to have fundamentals to play football, but you got to put the fundamentals into a scheme. Okay? And then once you put the fundamentals into the scheme, that's how you can execute. All right? So the goal today was for me to show you how you can take the scheme and the execution part and understand as a coach, when is it scheme, when is it execution. If you got 5-on-5 and their 6 and 7 don't make plays and you can't run the football at 5-on-5, that's execution, not scheme. If you get into 2-by-2 and you're trying to run inside zone and they constantly have a free guy unblocked making a tackle, that's on you as a head coach. That isn't, all right, execution, that's scheme. They're scheming up a free guy. You got to figure out a way to scheme up them not being able to have a free play. Okay, so I look forward to the offseason, guys. I'll be at 3 different glaciers. I'm speaking in Orlando, and then I'm doing Chalk Wars in the new Chalk Wars system that they got. I'm doing in Atlanta, and I think Tampa. Looking forward to it. It's always great to talk ball in the offseason. Obviously, coming off a losing season, I'm looking to wrinkle some of the things that we do. I'm looking to go out and talk to the people that win games and say, hey, how do you guys practice? What do you do? How do you get your kids to execute better? I like our schemes. I think our schemes are good. I think our schemes are good for our kids. Maybe we need to do less of some of those schemes to get our guys to understand it a little bit more. But I don't think our system was schematically based this year. I think it was execution based, and I think it was having a lot of young players that just weren't ready to play against the kids they needed to play against. All right, so as a coach, if you're not in the playoffs, you need to make that assessment. It's your job to analyze your program as the CEO and say, where do we need to go to move this program forward? Coach that are in the playoffs, good luck to you. Keep doing what you're doing. Stick with what's got you there. Dance with the one that brought you there, or dance with the one that you brought there, however you want to look at it. Stick with that. Work hard. I'll see you guys next time.